Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, Rangers. It's me, Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. It's 2024. Let's do this. Here's the credits, of course. Mike Ruekberg sang that song at the beginning, and he wrote that song, and he sang it with Sarah Cohen, his wife, and he will sing the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program. Also, Patrick Brady, still putting this together. Video, audio, all of it. He's amazing. So, and Vilmos doing JackieKashianStore.com. Squarespace is doing the regular Jackie Kashian page, and I'm thinking of moving the Dork Forest and dorkforest.com away from WordPress because it's driving me nuts. But those are the credits. But if you go to JackieKashian.com, you can get Dork Forest merch. You can get my stand-up merch. You can get my stand-up CDs and DVDs, which you'd have to have devices for those. You can also see videos and find out any number of things. I have another podcast called The Jackie and Laurie Show, but the Dork Forest is the flagship. 18th year. We're doing it, you guys. You can go to my Bandcamp or my YouTube for extra content. Please donate, is what I'm saying. It's 2024, and I think we've been in this long enough. Why don't you guys, everybody send me $100? That's what I'd like you to do. You can PayPal me. There's links all over the pages. You can Venmo me at Jackie Kashian. You can find me at a stand-up show and hand me a sweaty wad of 20s. Do something. But I love doing the show. I would love to make some money, is what I'd like to do. In other news, I'm sure there's more things that I should talk about, but I can't think of them. But let's listen to who's going to dork out about something, because that's my favorite part. Thanks for listening, you guys. You're all great. Let's get into the show. Warm. It's warm, you guys. Jackie Kashian here in my garage. Climate change is real. But I'm in Los Angeles, and today, Rangers, on the Dork Forest, a return of Brandi Brown. We're going to try this. We tried this, but we're going to do it for reals this time. And it's, what is it? The Minnesota State Fair, and then also seed art, and then birds? No, I don't know.
Wait, what have we talked about in the past? We talked about the Supreme Court. We talked about Canada State Fair. Yep. My ex-boyfriend you talked to about fishing.
Fly fishing, right? My brother Phil was disappointed that he was not the one that talked about fly fishing. I was like, you can come on again. Talk about more fly fishing. I don't know. Actually, I think Phil did come on again and talk about more fly fishing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was it. Brandi Brown, you guys. It's the Brandi, ITSTHEBRANDI, on the Twitter, on the Instagram. She's a comic, Minneapolis comic, friend of mine. She's going to be this week at the Bryant Lake Bowl doing a burlesque show, but not burlesque, stand-up comedy with the Talkity Talk. And then August 7th through the 11th featuring over at Acme. So good times.
Yeah.
What is the State Fair happening right now? It is
July. It's happening in August.
15th.
It happens.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. August, September. It's 12 days, the last day being the Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day. 12 days back from that. I don't remember the exact date. It's all in my calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, my friends now fly out. Several of my friends fly out. We go to the llama costume contest.
Oh my God,
time.
I remember you telling me about the llama costume.
I covered it for Defector last year, Defector magazine. I don't know.
Are people dressing as llamas or are people dressing up llamas? I've forgotten.
People are dressing up llamas and themselves. Like, it's kids, it's children. And then I also cover the llama obstacle course contest. And it's where, because llamas, I've learned so much about llamas. I did this whole piece for Defector. Basically, these llamas are well trained. So there are two obstacle courses. One that's stuff they might encounter on the farm, but one is called public relations. And that's because when they meet the public, they need to make sure that they're not going to lose their shit in a nursing home or, attack a child. And it's pretty funny. It's great to watch. And we met some cool kids, and 4-H was just super nice to us. And so
so llamas are they are South American in origin, possibly.
Yes.
Is that what I'm?
Yeah. They're
do
related
we drink
to camels.
their milk?
Are they
related
I think you
to camels?
technically, yeah, they are. They're the camel. It's llamas, alpacas, camels, and there's one more. It starts with a G or something. That's mainly in Brazil.
Is that because of Pangea? Is that how they all?
I don't know where llamas came from. I
Okay.
assume, but like like camels.
This isn't a llama dork out. I'm just
I don't know.
curious.
Yeah.
Okay. It's and so but they are domesticated animals. This much I know.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And then like it's again this like defector piece I wrote was incredible because I learned a lot about like apparently llamas like to poop together, like the way that like our people or humans, I don't smoke, but like might go out for a smoke break. Like the kids will all take their llamas to a communal poop pile because llamas just do that as groups, and then the kids will just be like chatting it up while the llamas are all taking a dump in a pile. It's intriguing, but also when they're showing the llamas and the llamas are all together, if one goes to the bathroom, then they all
go.
They all go.
Huh.
So.
Well, that is weird. So, but you don't know. So in the investigation for the defector article about llamas, I'm sorry, we've got to talk about llamas for a second.
Yeah, let's do it.
I know they're domesticated. I know that people have them, but like alpacas, you shave them like sheep and you make sweaters.
Right.
What do llamas? Do they eat them? Do we eat them?
Oh no. Okay, no. So this is great. So we interviewed one of the announcers for the llama costume contest, and she was like, she's like 6 foot something. She's like 6'1" or 6'2". So she's
llamas
really, really
are tall.
Yeah, and so she was a llama person, and I was like, well, what do you prefer? She's like, nothing political. I'm like, whatever. Okay, cool. I gotta right out the gate, I had to get political. I go, llamas or alpacas, and she's like, oh, well, I'm really tall, and this was an adult, and she's like, so I show llamas. We show llamas at our farm. But the thing about alpacas, and then we met someone who works for 4-H who used to show the alpacas, is that she raised alpacas at her family farm. Is that alpacas are really nervous compared to llamas. Like farms will have a guard llama because they're pretty solitary, independent animals, and they can like run after people. And alpacas need a friend. So like one time they had to, the second person we met, they had an alpaca that they had to separate or quarantine. It was sick or something. And the alpaca got so depressed that it almost died. And they had to like move it a little closer because they need friends. Like you can't just have one alpaca. But on the other hand, you can
herd animals.
Yeah. On the other hand, you can have a llama like herding the alpacas. And I'm like, does that mean that they're like llamas are the cops to the alpacas? I don't know. I don't know if it's like a brother sister thing. But
are they like dogs?
You can fit an alpaca in a minivan. They said that they travel with them sometimes. You can have them in the house sometimes if they need to be in the house. But like they're a little. Apparently, llamas are perhaps easier to train. This is like controversial because they're a little more chill and relaxed, and so the kids will mostly train llamas, and alpacas are a little skittish, but they can both be trained to like follow on command. But the obstacle course contest, my favorite moment was this kid. He had a llama named Chocolate Chip, and I learned how to tell the difference between llamas and alpacas. Jumping back, tabling that for a second.
Yeah,
well,
table
llama
that.
ears are like they go like bananas like this, and alpacas are kind of just like pointy like that. They're smaller. Llamas, you asked about the fur. Llama fur is coarser. You could make something out of it, but alpacas have the softer fur.
Fair enough. So now we know.
Yeah.
So what happened at the obstacle course?
Yeah. So this kid, this poor kid, he had a little llama named Chocolate Chip. Chocolate Chip was pretty like small, and what they had to do with the like outdoor obstacle course was they walk them around, and they have to like walk over a tiny bridge, and this is kind of stuff they might encounter in the meadow. And then they have to like weave through something and kind of like jump them through a hoop. And this one llama, Chocolate Chip, did not want to walk sideways. And the kid was like smaller. Like the kid and the llama were both kind of small. He was like a 6th grader. That's like the youngest that can be there in that in the llama stuff. And he literally just Charlie Browned it. He just goes like threw his head back. And it was so adorable because they can't touch the llamas. And they can they can make noises so they can like snap at it. But they can't actually position them to touch them and stuff like that.
Oh, there's no reins or anything. They have to be completely trained
like those
dogs.
They have a harness. They can lead them around, but they can't like position them. So they can, they can do that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I will give you the link to the defector piece because it's just really detailed.
Right. But llamas are at. So why are they at the Minnesota State Fair? Are there llamas and alpaca farms?
There are llama alpaca farms. Yeah, and the cool thing about them versus like the horses or the cows and the cattle and the pigs and all that stuff is it's a program from 4-H. So a lot of the llama farm kids don't have llamas of their own. Instead, they go to they partner with the farm. Some of them loan the kids the llama for free in exchange for like helping take care of it and learning about llama. It's called the alpaca project, and they learn about like the history and all that stuff and taking care of them, and then you go to these farms and some of them rent out the llama, but like most of the kids in it don't actually. That's not their family llama. Some of them have them, but
right. And then what? Once you have a farm full of llamas, are they mostly just like a tourist event where you kind of have them around, or
you have them around?
Alpacas, at least they're like sheep, and you can get wool out of them.
Yeah, they're.
I don't know
guards.
why I'm desperate to put these llamas to work. But,
they are. They're herding. They're herding. They're there. And
they're like sheepdogs, but they do
they're
the actual
they're
herding.
guard llamas. That's what you use a llama for a lot sometimes. And also the thing that people...
I love that you say that like I should know that. I have absolutely very little... I have more information about llamas now than I've ever had in my life.
The thing is, it's just all my friends are like sick of me talking about llamas, so I just assume this is something I've covered with anyone I'm friends with. But the cool thing about llamas, we asked this one kid, so before we went to the like pre-llama alpaca thing with all the kids in 4-H, they let us be kind of behind the scenes, and they're talking to the kids, and they're like, okay, you're going to be prepared to answer questions from like random people at the state fair. They're going to ask a lot of the same questions. So just make sure that, you're prepared, like llamas spitting and all that stuff. So I go up to this one kid. They're like high school, like early high school, maybe like 8th grade. I don't know. I don't know how old children are anymore. I've lost the ability to deduce this. So we're like, hey, I know you know the answer to this already, but like how, like why do llamas... I know they don't spit on people unless they're really agitated, but like, why do they spit on each other? And the girl was like, oh yeah, it's like it stuns the other llama. And I was like, wait, it's like venom? And she's like, yeah, kinda. And I was like, in the article, I'm like, I don't think that's true. And I was like, huh. And then I like went and asked someone else, and I finally just waited till the next day when we interviewed the announcer woman who does have a llama farm, and she's like, no. They're not. They're tired because when they're spitting, that's not spit. They get so worked up that they just like they're ruminoids or whatever you call them. Like they have multiple stomachs and they throw up. Like they get so mad they throw up on each other, and that's why they're both stunned afterwards because they just like worked up all the energy to throw up on each other. So that's
that's why they're wiped out. All right. So it's good to know that llama vomit isn't poisonous.
I don't know.
Or
just
some sort of stunning technique.
Yeah.
Well, that's insane. Okay, so it's coming up every year. You make some sort of seed thing, right?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been doing it?
I think the first year I did it was 2018, and then I skipped it in 2020. Some people did do it in 2020. They had like a virtual crop art thing, but I was like, no, I got a lot going on. And so I did it in 2020. Yeah, I think I did 2018, 2019, 2021. I may have skipped a year in there somewhere, but I've got several of my pieces here. So we can...
Right. So, and what it is it's called crop art.
Yes, called crop art.
And you can take anything that is grown in Minnesota or just grown.
Well,
what are the rules?
Now we're getting into the weeds, which are illegal.
Can you make it with weeds?
No invasive species. So about 50 years ago, crop art started. I should have like done my history, but a woman started crop art, and it's in the horticulture building, Ag Hort for short. And it's in a wing, like the crop wing. Like in this building, it's like I think it's an octagon maybe, but it has like different wings. Like they have a Christmas tree wing, and it's called Christmas tree, where they have like evergreens and like the Christmas tree
in the University of Minnesota, in the Ag building, there's a museum of crop art?
No. This is in the Ag Hort building at the state fair.
At the state fair? Oh.
Yeah, at the state fair, sorry.
I wanted there to be a year-round museum of crop art in Minnesota at the Ag building for the University of Minnesota.
The University of Minnesota. Yeah, the University of Minnesota. Fun fact, we're just going to go off topic. They do have a meat and dairy sales room at the University of Minnesota open on Wednesdays, and it's like really good stuff and really good deals. And they had like a burnt ends. They had a burnt ends dip like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's like burnt ends, but like if you took the creaminess of potato salad minus like the potatoes and stuff, but then you put like burnt ends in it, like a nice potato chip dip, it is decadent. Recommend it. But they have all their prices online.
Family.
Yeah, they have all their prices online, and they're really reasonable prices. And they have so much meat there. You can get like just anything, like whole chicken. Like it's
And
ridiculous.
dairy and
they
like
have some of their
cheese and-
cheeses that they make. They have goat cheese gelato. They have just
Ice
regular
cream?
ice cream. Yep.
Sure.
So
we're
a little bit
talking
of maple
about.
syrup, but not a ton. And then if you go out in Victoria, way out there, you've got the apple barn where they make their various apples and
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So but the crop museum is in the state fair.
The crop
art museum
wing. It's not a museum. It's just for the state fair duration. It's the exhibit.
It's the exhibit that changes every year because every year people make
enter.
stuff.
It's a contest. People compete technically.
Right.
And so there are many different categories. So I guess just the background. Someone decided to showcase like Minnesota crops with making art and designs with crop art. And like I have some behind me. I'll get it closer. This is from last year. Over here is 2019. I'll pull them down. But basically, it turned 50, I think, last year. Or is it? No, 2 years ago, it turned 50. And I did a piece for that. I did some sneakers, and I'll show those off in a little bit. But basically, the rules is it has to be made of crops that are grown in Minnesota. So it doesn't need to be native to Minnesota, but it does have to be a crop that's grown here. And it can't be something like, I made this I grow this random hybrid in my house or in my personal garden. It has to be something that crop producers use somehow, which was how we got into it. Yeah, go on.
In industrial or not industrial, but marketable?
Yeah, farmers use it.
Okay.
Farmers grow it. It could be a cover crop. It can, but we got into a big controversy last year because first of all, you can't have invasive plant parts, and some categories allow you to use plant parts, and some require like seeds. And there's a whole dried flower thing. But set that aside. They give you a list of possible seeds, and then you can email the superintendent of the crop department at the state fair about is this technically legal if you have questions. Right. On this list, it said mustard. So everyone would use brown mustard, which I have some here. I have brown mustard.
Oh, mustard seed. Okay.
Yeah, mustard seed. If you want to one of the things you can have is wheat. And let's say you want to use cream of wheat. You can only use 30% of your piece can only have ground up seeds. You have to have whole wheat for most of it. But you can sometimes crumble it up, But this is
because they don't want you to sort of create an art background out of something like just a paste.
Yeah,
they want it to be 3D, or they want it to be.
Well, with cream of wheat, I mean, it technically would be 3D, but then you're destroying the integrity of the. It's technically the crop, but you can't you wanted a finer grain. You can do that for some of it, but most of it has to be the whole seed or flower,
a whole plant of some sort, or seed.
The whole seed, the whole part.
Okay.
So people would use brown mustard, which fine, that is grown here as a crop, but also people would use yellow mustard. And we'd used it for years. I'd made several pieces with yellow mustard. We'd all planned to use yellow mustard. The thing is, the rules come out in May. People are starting their pieces. Some of them start when the state fair ends in September. So it comes out May the year of, and someone's like, wait, it says no yellow mustard. That's weird. Yellow mustard, why isn't it? Somebody had snitched on yellow mustard, basically, and been like, that's not a Minnesota crop. And we were like, no, it's a Minnesota crop. And, we're like, it's too late to change this, make the rule go into effect in 2024. And meanwhile,
you got to be grandfathered in. Yeah.
Meanwhile, a bunch of us, including the state auditor, who's a crop artist herself, were like, no, this is, it's grown as a crop here. People grow it as a crop, and people are like, oh no, it's grown in North and South Dakota. And so there's a Minnesota Crop Association where we found evidence. We're like, no, this is yellow mustard. Because the thing about yellow mustard, and this was in the Star Tribune, and I've got some yellow mustard here.
Brandi Brown has sources. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was interviewed for the Star Tribune, but yellow mustard is, I don't know if we could see, it's a round, hard seed. And that means if you dye it, which we'll get to later, it holds color, and it's really a great round seed, bright yellow, if you needed a yellow. So finally, somebody talked to the Minnesota Crop Association, and they were like, we do grow it in a few places that aren't in the Dakotas. Very few, but technically that's enough. And they overturned the ruling, so we have yellow mustard again. But you can't use invasive species. You can't use the only rice you can use, for example, is wild rice, which is grown here. You can't use like white rice. You can't use sesame seeds. Certain categories. There's a category for novices. So if it's your first year, you can enter this category. They have an outstate category. They have a senior citizen. They have a couple categories for kids. But then we have a couple other categories. One of them is, we also have within these categories, certain categories are advanced and amateur. Amateur means that you haven't won more than like 2 or 3 blue ribbons at all. And we think those rules should be changed because it's gotten so popular that it's really hard for like some really, 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 really good people should not be in amateur anymore. And then advanced is more, you've won a certain number of blue ribbons. So I guess I will, take you through some of my ones in the past and then show you kind of what I'm doing right now.
If you want to grab that, there was a question, but go grab the pieces from
ask
before.
it and I'm listening,
Right. It's So what I think is that in some of the categories, like if it's kids or if it's there's an out of state category, so you could use crops that do grow in the Dakotas or Wisconsin.
No, they have to be Minnesota crops. It's just you get a list. If you can buy most of these, I buy a lot of my seeds at either a farm and feed store or just a co-op. Just the wedge.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's hot. I'm sweaty.
Right. Yeah. No sweat.
Yeah, I'm so sweaty. We don't
sweat.
have AC in our house, so it's a
okay.
Show.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I will start with.
Brandi is gathering her items. It's the Brandi, by the way.
Is this okay? So this piece is for the 30th anniversary. There's a category called Special Occasion. And I did the 30th anniversary of the Game Boy.
The 30th, because I was going to say, didn't you say it was the 50th anniversary? I'm like, have you been doing this for 20 years?
No, I did.
The Game Boy came out 30 years ago.
30 years ago. This is a 2019 piece. Go to YouTube and freaking look at this because it's epic. What year was this one? 2019? 2019. I used this one. We actually had to just recently reseal it. My mom resealed it for me because bugs started eating it. I do seal it when I'm done, but this one just wasn't particularly.
What do you use to seal it? Like a shellacking?
Shellac. My mom just redid it with Mod Podge though. But I use a shellac. So up here we have like wild rice. And then I use
is that the dark sky?
It's just the black background of Tetris. It's not a technically correct Tetris.
Oh, okay.
But, and then you've got quinoa here, some sorghum. Or maybe those are like radish seeds. You've got a lot of different colored lentils, some mustard, and some poppy seed in the lettering here. And then
Minnesota grows lentils and poppy seed?
There's another thing about that. Let's get into some of that. I don't want to be a snitch, and I'm not going to, but sometimes they give us broad categories of things like lentils. And some lentils grow here, and that's all I'll say on that. They're technically legal, but some lentils grow here. So that's a piece I did.
What did you use? Because that's what you did the 30th anniversary. And go to YouTube, you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's just /Jackie Kashian now. It used to be the Dork Forest. You can Google it if you go to the dorkforest.com. Actually, you could just watch it on my new Dork Forest page. But it's amazing, quite honestly, because it's the old gray brick. It's the initial Game Boy.
Yeah.
What did you use for the gray?
There's no gray. I just used quinoa. I just used a white. I just made it white.
So it's a pale.
Yeah, it's quinoa. I have some quinoa here. Or sometimes I used hulled millet, but here's hulled millet. I use that.
Okay. That's nice and pale.
But it's a rounder seed. What I tend to like is quinoa. Where is that quinoa? Oh, here's quinoa. I have white quinoa here. I'm using that in a piece I'm working on right now, and that's just a flatter. It's quinoa. I also have black quinoa, which I use sometimes.
Is that round or flat?
These aren't brown. These are whole quinoa.
No, round. Is it round?
It's roundish and flat. It's both. It's kind of disc shaped.
Do you like round better than flat? You seem to have a lot of things that are round.
Okay. Round is good, but sometimes they don't fit together as well, and you can't kind of stuff them into corners. And I can show you where it comes into becomes an issue in a little bit. I also have red quinoa.
And so how are you putting it? So like, do you have is it a tray that you're building onto?
Right. So I can show you. It depends because so in 20
And do they have to be a certain size?
There are size limitations. Someone last year showed up with like a 4 foot by 3 foot Sonia Sotomayor crop art piece, and they're like, no, that if you'd read the rules, you would know. But there are minimum sizes. I think the maximum
pretty
size.
Cool looking?
It was awesome, but you're like, oh man, buddy, because we saw him haul it in, and we're all like, oh no, because the crop art community is super helpful. There's a Facebook group. They're really just kind, generous people.
That's cool.
So I made these sneakers. I made some sneakers in 2022 in out of the state fair.
Okay.
There's a wearable category. And
there we go.
Different designs. So I will walk you through these. So basically I got
Is that the chipmunks? Is that a chipmunk?
Those are the gopher mascots.
That's
Fair
a gopher.
Horn and Fair State. And this is like to represent the giant slide. You don't have to 100% have coverage on all of them except like one category. Like the amateur natural. And natural means that it's all like you don't paint seeds, and I can get into that later. They're all like the seeds are the color that the seeds are.
Is that natural or did you paint?
Some of them are natural and some of them are painted. In the special occasion category, in the wearable art category, you can paint some of them and you have more flexibility on what you can do with seed colorings. And so I did. Yeah, I got these high tops, like $15 online. They technically fit. And I used, here I used a quinoa, and then I dyed some mustard seeds. These are mustard seeds, white mustard seeds. Most of the piece is mustard seed. These letters where it says Minnesota on the toe, mustard seed. Yep. These are split peas. I think yellow and green. Some of them might be green lentils. I have a corn dog here. A lot of brown mustard with some actual yellow mustard. And then in the back, it says on the back of each one says crop and one says art. And then the cow spots, I use some black. Those are black lentils. Okay. Yeah. So
and then
you've
more
got
quinoa.
These.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of.
And what was the other one? The one that says crop.
Oh yeah, crop.
There's crop.
Blue. And then you've got the state of Minnesota with black lentils.
Nice work on that map.
Yeah. And then some these are.
And there's
yellow
a star.
Peas. Yeah. There's a star with the yellow mustard and. Then I shellacked them and I used twine as the sneakers. Oh, we got a 4-H tribute going there because I love 4-H. I was never in 4-H, but they're fun kids. And those are dyed green mustard seeds.
Okay.
Or they're canola. They're canola. I forgot about canola.
My apologies.
Canola?
And what's on the toe of that one? Is there anything on the toe?
State Fair.
Very nice.
Yeah, I've got a canola story. So somebody a few years ago got in a little bit of trouble because they made the crop artists are very political in a way, and they'll do like cheeky art, if you will. And someone did a whole piece about Bill Cosby and canola seed. The thing you need to know about canola seed is it's also called rapeseed.
There we go.
Great.
It was just sort of it's like the music in Bridgerton where it's a pop song, but it's being done by a quartet. And so it's actually Gail's ABCDEFU as she walks into the ball, but it's being done by a string quartet.
Yeah. And they basically, the crop, they let them keep it up for a few days. They're like, come on. And they get it. People do all sorts of stuff.
Right.
So
and did they win?
No, I don't think they won that category, but I mean, there's someone who like enters a lot and they've won a lot in the past. There was someone who did like Super Mario Brothers using like the small like amaranth, which I have some here. I think.
Is it tiny?
Yeah,
I feel like it's tiny.
Yeah, this is amaranth.
Okay, yeah, that's very small.
Yeah, for like scale.
Oh, and it's in like a.
I keep them in vials.
Tiny. Right.
I also have I had syringes for like some glue application. I was like, God, I hope I don't get pulled over because like, yeah.
It's well. Is there do you just sort of shake it out?
I shake it out. I can get into how I do that, and then I get one more piece I have though, and then I'll get to the current one.
Right. There's a Is this the place? I wonder if this is the room that you use to build. Is this the room that you use to make to work on the piece?
No, this is our living room. I can do it wherever. Dining room table,
wherever you're hanging around.
Like sometimes away from my cat because she likes the grasses.
Sure.
So, and my favorite fact about the Olympics, I love the Olympics, I love sports, is that in 1980, the reason that there aren't any more peace doves, like live doves released at the Olympics, like you might be seeing the Olympics, you'll see like people dressed as doves, or you'll see, various things like that. But you won't actually see live doves. You will if you watch the opening ceremonies. But the reason why they don't just release peace doves is because in 1988 at the Seoul Olympics, they released the peace doves, and the peace doves went about, and they went and sat on top of the cauldron. And then the cauldron, the way that the torchbearers lit it is that there was a platform that rose to the top of the cauldron, and then they reached up and lit it from above, so they couldn't see what they were lighting. The birds were all up there. And then the cauldron went on, they cooked the peace doves. So, yeah. So I made a piece saying 35 years since live doves at the Olympic Games, and I used colored mustard seeds. And then this is various colors of dyed mustard, and I used some poppy seeds, some canola, and then I found someone in my neighborhood who had a very powerful blowtorch, and I toasted one of the doves here. That's burnt.
Wow.
Yeah. So the way that you color seeds is pretty fascinating. There's some mung beans there, but that's this piece. The way that you color seeds is pretty interesting. Is that what you can do, and this is why you prefer a hard seed, because if you take like a quinoa and you use like the paint, it'll soak it up and expand. But a hard seed, you can coat it. So what you do, and there's a video, but I don't have it, is that you basically take something called like high flow acrylic ink. This is kind of expensive stuff, but they use it in like air guns and air
for airbrushing.
Yeah, airbrushing, and you put a little bit high flow acrylic ink. And you take some of that, and you get a glossy paper plate. And you just put some of the seeds there, and you can mix up whatever your paint color is going to be, or if it's just straight from the bottle. You put a couple drops on there, and then you take one of these foam things, and you're just stirring and stirring. It's just like a foam paint thing. Stirring and stirring until it's coated. Transfer it to another plate. Stir it, and you're slowly drying it, and it's tedious. It's really boring, but it gets you a good coat. You don't want to paint it when it's already on the piece, and then you just let it dry.
Okay, so how long does it take to, is it like pudding? Where you have to, is it minutes?
It dries, by the time you're done stirring and transferring the paper plates for each color, it dries, but then, you should probably just let it sit out a day before you're, working with it with your hands and getting it a little wet again with glue,
Okay, right, because once you've painted it, let's say you've painted it blue, you do the stirring and you paint it, and then you sort of spread it out and let it dry.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, by the time you're done stirring and transferring it between plates, so that color, it should be pretty dry and not sticking to stuff. But you just want to just let it sit and make sure you're kind of breaking stuff apart. And
right, because then you're using it and you're placing it onto the design.
Right, with the glue.
Right. Are you drawing a design before you place it? Is it sort of like paint by numbers?
Yeah, so I can show you this piece I'm currently working on. So at the Pop-Tarts Bowl. The college football had a Pop-Tarts Bowl, and there was a Pop-Tarts mascot, and he got, it was ridiculous. So this Pop-Tart mascot was running around, bothering everyone at the thing. And then at the end, the Pop-Tart had a sign that said "Dreams do come true," and it was lowered into a toaster, and then was toasted. This was the whole thing, and then it came out as a flat Pop-Tart where the champion team would eat the Pop-Tart. This happened. There's a video. Anyway, I decided to make a version of it that says Crop Tart.
What team is this?
It was college football. It was a college football, one of the bowl games. So
one of the bowl games. And it was called the Pop-Tart
Well, yeah, Bowl? They sponsored it, yeah. So this one, I gridded it out for just organizational reasons of my own. But basically, you print out the the image you want, take it to Kinko's, arrange it however you want, and or whatever the copy shops are called now, and you transfer paper, and you trace it on there, and then
And so what is that? Is that wood? Is that
poster
board?
Yeah, you don't want to use poster board or like foam board because it's gonna get really wet with the glue. You're just using Elmer's glue, and it's going to get pretty like heavy, and it'll curl. So what I use is this is just like that board you can buy at the art store. I've used canvas before. I've used something called
like when you paint on wood essentially, but it's like a treated wood. It's not canvas.
It's this stuff. Yeah, it's that stuff is like a couple bucks. But I also use something that was more expensive called pastel board, which is the kind of like it's like sandpaper kind of board, but they use it for pastels because it's got that grippy texture. And so you like that grippy texture because it makes the glue hold a little bit better. So to save money, because pastel board is like really, really expensive, what you do is you buy pastel ground. And that stuff is it's a kind of
just paint it.
It's a cream. You don't paint it. You dilute this in water, mix it up, and then you just kind of do like a wet brush on it. And then you do a couple coats and you get a nice light sand grippiness to that board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So and that jar will last you for many boards. I assume.
This is probably the rest of my crop art life. And it's pretty. You use a really little amount on it. So then after I did that, I just made it a grid because what happens is obviously when you put the glue down, what you want to do is let's see what my tools are. I use a couple things. I use Elmer's glue is like the basis of it. That's the only glue you need, just regular old Elmer's
School
all glue.
Yep.
And then to apply, some people use toothpicks, but I use can we hold on a second? Have my mom down something.
Just so you know, we're listening right now with Brandi Brown, stand-up comic from Minneapolis, who I've worked with and is very funny. She's going to be at Bryant Lake Bowl on July 18th and also at Acme August 7th through the 11th in Minneapolis. And It's the Brandi is her handle on Instagram, ITSTHEBRANDI, and it'll be in the notes and cliffhanger as to what is happening with the crop art. And we're back.
All right, we're back. So, I use some people use toothpicks to apply, but I use these pottery tools. It's got a needle point and it's got like a rounder point. I don't know where.
Yeah. No, I've seen those at the art store.
Yeah, you can reuse them. They're for like clay or something. I don't know. I got one at Dick Blick's. You can get them all over.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's an art store I've seen.
I've got a different one too, just because I thought I lost one. But something, and then you put down a little bit of glue
on the tip of it, and then place it.
Nope, you put down a little bit of glue on the board
because that sounds. Oh, there we go. That seems.
I'm not gonna actually do it, but like you'll put down a little bit of glue.
Yep.
And then maybe you'll dip the tool into the
glue tool,
and you don't want to use too much because it'll dry up. Then you just go to wherever you're keeping your little stash of seeds. Doop, boop, 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 just.
Is it mesmerizing?
It's boring as shit. I will be honest with you. I have ADD. It's just like a thing. I'll zone out and put some podcasts on, and I only do it at the state fair. And then I put.
But you like it. And you keep doing it.
I keep doing it. You have that thing. You're like, it's just a thing I do every year. I'm like part of the community, and I'm just like, I like doing it. I like being around these people, but the process is just,
right. And how do you pick what you're going to do? Because you could do anything, I suppose.
You can. I have a running notes app list of events. I look at things that are 5-10 years ago for each year. Like on the list this year was like Dave Matthews Band poop bus incident, and I was like that. The judges wasn't. It's a lot of complex stuff. I had like Usain Bolt's world record, and I'm just like, some people do really good with like portraits and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do that shading, and I'm a perfectionist, but my crop art, I just get bored with it. I just rush through it, or I wait too long. And so this year I just did the crop piece, and then next year, I think I'm probably going to do this Lindsey Vonn in 2005 won a cow at a ski race, and it was normally supposed to be a symbolic cow, and she's like, no, I want the cow, and they gave it to her, and then the cow was pregnant, and so it was like Lindsey Vonn's bonus cow. It was a whole thing. Lindsey Vonn is from Minnesota.
Vonn?
She's a skier. She's from Minnesota.
Okay.
But I was going to do a tribute to the cow that she won at the ski race because it's just
right, because she got 2 cows for the price of nothing.
Yeah, and they were really mad because the normal prize was like just going to be $5,000. She's like, I want the cow, so I could have the cow, and it ended up being like $25,000 worth of
cows, so, especially like a pregnant cow. That's it'd be like giving in Saudi Arabia. I weed off. When I was in Saudi Arabia, there was a lot of discussion about how. By the guys who drove us around, Kuwait, that if you hit a camel, the Halliburton guys, right? The sort of the weird, not the soldiers that were taking us around, but the guys who worked for them. Yeah. So the Halliburton guys were like, we were trained that you might as well just drive into a wall as opposed to hitting a camel.
It's like hitting a moose.
If you hit a camel, you're responsible for 10 generations of that camel.
Oh, wow.
To the family who owned that camel. And
I don't think that's what happens if you ran over a llama or an alpaca, but
or a cow.
Yeah.
But to think about getting 2 generations of cow when you thought you were winning just cash.
Yeah.
That's
it's a lot of money. So but yeah, so you just kind of do it like this piece here, the reason I put it in a grid is just because it also helped me break up the project. But also, another thing is that if you have to let it dry, like sometimes like the seeds will spread out, how stuff dries.
Oh, right, because it's...
Yeah, so, but if you have like edges and you just do the edges, you can, while this side is drying, work on this one and then just like make a square and just fill in the square and keep going around and around because there's always like one dry side.
Right, and is there a ridge? Is it broken into a grid so that there's a tiny ridge?
No, it'll even out. I mean, it's really like technically 3D, but
yeah. So what is the what is what are the lines made of? Are they made of that the texture stuff?
Oh, the goo? No. The texture stuff was just like it's on this, like all the blank boards. These lines will get filled in. So this is all quinoa. This white here is quinoa. This
so it's actually already got seeds on it.
I've already been working on it. It's got. I just break it into squares and make borders on it.
Right?
Just
is that a hand? What is that?
Yeah, it's a hand. And then he's holding the hand here. So these are. Oh. This is yellow mustard. This is regular quinoa. Here's alfalfa. This is what is that? I think that's red or black quinoa. Black quinoa for the mouth. Poppy seeds for the lettering here, the tart, and then some timothy, which is a grass, I think. And then,
is it going to be a flavored Pop-Tart? What is it?
Strawberry. That's what it was. It'll be a picture. Yeah, there's an actual picture this is based on, but yeah, it's a strawberry Pop-Tart.
Cool. What are you going to do for the red? You going to use red lentils?
Well, I technically just use black lentils because up close they look like a dark red. There is a red lentil, but it's got a little bit too much white. I could show you the red lentil.
Right, you said you had them the other minute. You had gone to look for them, but then I asked a question. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, Brandi Brown's looking for different seeds and crops. You ever think about just taking like a red maple leaf?
This is red quinoa. This is red quinoa, and it was just had too much random white in it, and I just didn't feel like sorting it much.
Oh, right.
But then you could use a sorghum, which is
because that's
a bigger seed though. So I'm trying to. You get more points if you use smaller seeds because.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's harder.
Right, and it looks better from up close and far away, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Especially given the size of my piece, I just had to go with smaller seeds.
Right. Now, is that the minimum size or is that a medium size that you're working on there?
You can do any side. I've seen someone do earrings with amaranth that were like really tiny.
The size of the piece.
Yeah, I've seen someone do I've seen someone do
like you said that somebody did a Sotomayor piece.
The maximum piece is like 36 by 24 or something like that.
Okay,
and
what's
then
the minimum?
Yeah, somebody did earrings. There isn't no minimum. It's just like,
Okay.
So the earrings were like this big, like really small, but it was like really fine detailed work. And my sneakers actually lost to those. So, and they're really, really detailed.
Did your sneakers come in second or
yeah,
third?
there
or
was
something?
like was like no one in that category that year, but yeah, they came in second. And
All
people, my friends look at me like, "Oh, you should have won." And I was like, "No, I shouldn't have." Like the judging is pretty. Like if you look at it and you're like, "No, that looks way neater and more like, they took their time."
Right.
Which I
can you, because you can appreciate everybody's stuff, but you can definitely see
you could tell
the amount of work, because that's got to be one of the things that they chart. What are the criteria for what they judge on? I mean, time, one would imagine.
Well, like the seed size, the difficulty, the art, the art itself. I don't
the idea
not
itself.
so much the idea, but like just the execution
really?
of the idea.
Because you want to go for a laugh.
Yeah, I mean, we do, but like sometimes they don't get it. They've kind of changed over who's judging, so they have some younger judges, but sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. But it's really, people do all sorts of stuff. And my favorite is the state auditor, Julie Blaha, who's a friend of mine. She does crop art. She does crop art, but she also figured out a loophole for crop art because it's up for the entire state fair. She spends $8 making a piece of crop art that just has her name on it for campaign signs, and there you go. It has to hang.
She's not wrong.
But she also does like other really cool art. She did an engagement piece for the lieutenant governor and her now husband, and it was a gorgeous. It was like a tree, and it was like a piece.
Let's back up to the political the love found in the what is it, the farm labor.
DFL, the
DFL.
Farmer Labor,
yeah. So what is her job?
So the state auditor is friends with the lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor got engaged to a former journalist. So
I thought they got together.
No. The state auditor did a piece like as a gift to them anyway for their engagement, and it was a gorgeous piece. They got like second place in the art category. But yeah, it was so. She does a lot of cool pieces. She did one with like vaccines, like, and it was like the, Rosie Riveter, but like you can do it. But then she used flaxseed, which is like flat and almond shaped. And I was like, hey, you used brown flaxseed. It was brown and golden flax, which I used. I don't know if I have any examples of it. I used golden flax here around the Game Boy.
Oh, right. Thing. Around the screen of the Game Boy? Yeah.
I was like, how did you get it different colors? And she's like, oh, you can just toast it. And I was like, what? And you can put it, but you have to like really watch it. You put it in the oven on a tray and it turns a little bit of a color. Oh, yeah. That's legal. That is legal.
Okay.
But yeah, so I learned like all sorts of tricks. And the crop art community is great because people will be like, how do you do this thing? And someone will just be like, oh, I made a video. They're really, it's not like competitive.
Nobody's right. There's no giant, huge competitive.
No,
I think it's probably the state fair is more competitive at sort of the pie level.
We just
like
got
cakes and pies.
Yeah, we just got an email saying that they're remodeling the wing that it was in because it's also in the same wing where they show corn, like ears of corn, which is not
corn,
like corn.
Not porn. She didn't say porn.
Corn.
Yeah,
and
with
so
a
they're
C.
remodeling that wing so that there's more. It's easier to access the crop art.
Sure. Is it a corn maze? I want there to be a corn maze to go look at the maze.
It's a maze. It's a maze, but it's
maze
not
made a
intentionally.
maze.
It's not a big outside corn maze now. So.
And are there any? There was a cooking show that I watched called. It was set in Milwaukee. It was set in Wisconsin. It was it was Top Chef. That was it. And they did a Top Chef Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And they had one of the episodes were Native American chefs.
Mm-hmm.
And the chefs had to make food with only things that would have been able to be available.
I think the chef that was on that was from Minnesota. I think it was the guy who runs Awamni. I go there every year, actually the same week of the state fair, because my friends from out of town love going there. It's a great restaurant. Yeah.
Right, but can you get in? It's an actual Native American restaurant.
Yeah, you can get in. You can make a reservation. It's pretty easy to get at this point. Yeah.
Okay, it was okay because initially I know that it was super hard to get in.
Yeah, if you book enough in advance, you're probably good. It's still pretty busy, but
it's busy. But if you give yourself a little bit of time, yeah. So, but that was interesting because there was in the food that was all indigenous and original, there was no dairy.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't cook with any cheeses or milks or anything.
And there's
And
no
then
flour. There's no flour. There's no sugar.
right, there's no flour and sugar.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
the meats were very specific.
Oh,
and they
bison, elk, yeah.
just a lot of sort of venison and
Yeah.
sort of ground birds and stuff like that. So I love, is there a category? I want there to be a category where you have to use like only the indigenous, like the original indigenous.
No, that's not a category yet, because the whole reason it started was to honor or to promote crop growing.
Oh,
but,
right.
I mean,
farms.
it has to be and the other thing that's going to happen is, so there was a big controversy a few years ago because, when hemp seeds, they weren't legal. It has to be a legal seed, you can't.
Oh.
It has to be grown as a crop here, and so it became a big issue because people were like, well, hemp is, and this is before marijuana was legal, but they're just hemp is medical marijuana is legal, so is it okay? Because, and they're like, well, is it a grown crop here? It was a whole thing, but it actually isn't that big of a deal because hemp seeds are kind of not great crop art seeds. They're just not. They're just kind of, you can get that same. I don't even know what they look like, but I asked someone and they were just I was like, so is everyone just going to make marijuana art? And she was like, I think I asked Julie Blaha and she was like, no, it's a bad seed. It's not a good shaped seed.
But
and
I
there are
bet
other
you that's
seeds that
what they
can get you
were
there.
Yeah, and I think that might have been what they were afraid of, is that it was just going to turn into AC/DC mirrors.
No, they don't really care because you can predict the seed. It was just this is not a legal crop. It has to be something that is grown here as a crop. So if it's not technically a crop here, it's just.
It seems like the most wholesome thing that I've ever heard of in my whole life.
Well, so here's another fun controversy. So there is apparently the University of Minnesota's agriculture school is actually in the next door to the state fairground. So it's in the cities. It's in St. Paul. What constitutes a crop here means that some people just will go over the U and talk to people and they're making experimental crops all the time. And technically, does that count? Because there was someone who did a whole piece with soybeans, and they were worked for the soybean association, and I'm like, soybeans come in that many colors, and I'm like, yeah, we got the soybean vault, and it's technically grown, but who uses this and how easy? And there are people who will go road tripping and be like, I stopped by this farm to see what crops are happening up north. And then again, with climate change, our zones are going to change. Our zones are changing, so now we're probably going to get some more crops. They're going to open up, and then our crops going to go away that are
Right. And so everybody is super supportive and stuff. Is there, so the Bill Cosby one was kind of a very taboo, edgy. Is anybody being edgy? Are there any edgelords?
A lot of edge, not edgelord and type. There are some really there's someone I think it's Laura Melnick. She does these massive pieces and she doesn't seal them. That's crazy to begin with because bugs. She's just I make it and then it goes to nature at the end. And they're massive, but she'll do themes. One year she did a Dr. Seuss, and you can look this up. There's also a website called cropart.com, I think. Well, they just have a gallery of different people's crop art. It's so you can see all these pieces. And they have some tips and stuff, but it's run by some people who are in the crop art community, so that's a good resource. But she makes these elaborate using one of them was about immigration, but the crop artists tend to lean left politically, but it was about pro-immigration, and it was basically Busy Town. No, that was a different one. She did one of those Trumpy Town, but it was Busy Town themed, and then she wrote in using poppy seeds. You could read the letters, the tiny letters, but it was a massive piece. It was very tiny, and we're when do you start working on it? And she's the next year,
right now.
Right now we're talking to her. She's I'm working on the next one.
Wow.
And so, she wins grand because they have grand overall champion of all the categories, and she wins it all the time. And
okay, we have 10 minutes left. So what are the prizes, and what is it a cake plate with the Great American Bake Off? Or
it is so the prize. I spent so much more on the tools and the
it's got to cost you hundreds of dollars.
So there's a $100 prize, but Brammer Bank sponsors whoever they like. But overall, in each category, top prize $25. One year they didn't even offer the prize. And I was like, why didn't they offer a prize? Like, it's just more like the spirit of it. Like, people work hard on them. No one does it for the money, but like, I tweeted out about it and like accidentally like raised funds to get everyone prizes who, you know, would have gotten them that year. But like when you look at the talent show top prize $10,000. You look at like some of the other categories, and another not controversy is my hot take is that so there's a fine arts building at the state fair where, you know, photography, sculpture, like fine art go.
Right.
I think crop art should be fine arts.
Yes.
Some of it is, but there's like I wouldn't say any of mine, but there's some of it that would qualify. And in fact, the state fair had a commemorative. They ended it this year, but they have every year commemorative art. And the last year's commemorative art piece was a crop artist. And you can look at that poster, you can see it, and it was displayed in the Fine Arts Building because that's where the commemorative art piece was always displayed each year. So yeah, it's, you know, it's great.
I think it's fine art. Why? What defines fine art except for that it was made sort of?
Well, you could technically. I mean, you could enter it into the fine arts. It's just it wouldn't be displayed with all the other crop art because it's. I just don't think
it would be displayed with the fine art.
Yeah, a lot of it doesn't, because the whole point of crop art is to educate people about crops. So, for example, on my piece here, you also have to provide a guide to all your pieces. You have to do a note card saying, like, with a little seed sample so they can seed what you have.
Right.
And identify
with
them.
the names of the different.
Yeah. I've seen somebody said that they went to enter their piece and one of the crop art like people was checking it in and just goes, "You need to take that seed off or it'll DQ the whole thing." It was like something that wasn't legal, but it was easily like they're like, just try it off so you won't get your piece disqualified. Now, if they would have let that piece that was too big stay in the thing just because it just wouldn't have won anything, but they were really concerned because it was so big that they didn't want to get it damaged. There was no set aside place for it. But if your piece isn't like, as long as it's nothing like super offensive, they'll display your piece on the table, or if it's got the proper things to hang it up, they'll hang it up. So even if it's not like the best, as long as you tried, even if it got disqualified, like there's some people who are just like I also made a piece last year because I had all this extra dyed yellow mustard, and it was the ugliest like piece of crap piece. It just said, "Who snitched on yellow mustard?" I mean, they displayed that. Like, even if your piece is disqualified for, you know, an invasive weed or something, they'll display it as long as
that's hilarious.
Display it.
Well, man, all right. So it's coming up. You're going to do the Pop-Tart. It's going to be a strawberry Pop-Tart that says crop art.
Crop-Tart. The sign will say it. Yeah.
Yep. And
people can look that up if they just Google Pop-Tart's bowl mascot. You can see.
Okay, Pop-Tart school mascot.
Pop-Tart's bowl mascot.
Oh, the Pop-Tart's bowl.
Yeah.
Right, because it's not a school.
Nope, it's
the
just
whole
a bowl
thing.
Game.
Just sounds and then was it actually a giant Pop-Tart that they put in the toaster, or was it the mascot?
The mascot went up with a sign, and the sign said, "Dreams do come true." And then it was slowly lowered into a giant toaster, and then at the bottom of the toaster, like the Pop-Tart, an actual edible Pop-Tart that was massive came out. So they like had an actor come in, and then the Pop-Tart came out, and then the winning football team gathered around the Pop-Tart and ate the Pop-Tart. So yeah.
But the losing team did not get to eat any of the Pop-Tart for that photo shoot?
The corpse of the Pop-Tart. It was just like the celebration.
Right. It was like a champagne moment.
Yes.
Well, this has been amazing, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, unless you got anything else to say, we got like 3 minutes, but I think that's a great.
I'm on Twitter, and my account's still active on Blue Sky, but I'm not really there. I do have a TikTok, but I don't use it. I just kind of hold it, so don't expect to. I don't check it or anything, and I don't post on it.
And it's all under It's the Brandi.
It's the Brandi. If you go to like my Instagram profile, I have a link tree. Will show you all the different.
And do you have a website?
No, I mean, there's a website blog on there. I know. I don't know how I've been doing comedy this long. It'll be like, since 2000, like 15 years this year, and I still don't have a dedicated website.
Yeah, it's a lot about doing great. Doing great. Everybody, we have been listening to and learning a great deal about crop art, the great dork out with Brandi Brown, who's been on the program before. So find those other episodes because they're super fun. And go to It's the Brandi. on all the things. She was so excited. She stood for the entire hour, and also there was some perspiration.
Yeah, it's
but
so
that
much
is what
sweatiness.
makes for good crop art, that perspiration. So thanks for coming on the show, Brady.
Thanks for having me.
And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?